Hello students, in today's class we will be discussing about how to create a table in SQL and followed by that how to insert values into the table and how to retrieve it, then data types in SQL and the categories of SQL commands. So let's start the class.
Okay, so already we have discussed on how to create a database, right? And now we will discuss how to create a table inside the database. As I have already told you, a database acts like a folder. So inside that folder, you can save as many files as you want. Similarly, here the table is represented as a file. So here in SQL, once we create the database, you can create as many tables as you want inside the database. So to create the database, this particular query, we will be using it, right? Create database, the database name. And after creating the database, to enter into the database, we have to work with, you have to use a query, use database name. So use school, that is what I have given now. And after giving this, what do I have to do? I have to start creating the table. So to start creating the table, we will be working on this particular query, create table, table name, followed by column name and data type 1. So based on this particular concept, I have already created a table inside this database, school. So see here, use school 1. That is, I have entered into the database school 1, and inside this database now I have to create the table. So to create the table, I have to use this query, create table followed by learner. Learner is the table name which you're supposed to give, and inside this you have to provide the column name followed by data type. Again, column name followed by data type. As the roll number column, according to the column name which you're going to give, you have to provide the respective data type. Yes, so the data type defines what category the value belongs to. And here roll number, you will be providing the values in the form of integers. So regarding data types, we'll be discussing in the upcoming slides. And here in the name, we will be using the characters. So you have to use the data type varchar. So varchar, it supports the string length variable. The string length variable means you can provide the characters as much as you want. So when you have specified the size, it will not take up the extra spaces. So I'll tell you the difference between char and varchar data type later. So after this is the respective query you have to use in this format. You have to use the create table query. So after using this create table query, this is how your table, I'll show you how the table will look like now. To view the contents or to view the structure of the table which we have created, I'll tell you DESC, the respective table name, which is learner. Yes, and when you press semicolon here, so here if you press, if you give the query DSE learner, what will happen here is it will display the structure of the table. Yes, when it displays the structure of the table, here you can find out what the table name you have, what are the field names which you have given, which is the column name, that is what we have given. So column name is roll number and name, and followed by integer data type we have provided, and for the name column we have provided the varchar data type. Yes, and by default, if you're not going to provide any values for the columns, what will happen here is this null value will be explicitly defined. If you're going to provide the values, that particular value will be accepted. And here if you're going to provide any keys, what will happen, that keys will be automatically displayed in the table. So now this is the structure of the table, and to view the contents of the table which we have given for these column names, we have to use the query select asterisk from learner. So before that, I'll show you how to find out the tables. So how to view the contents of the table. So here you have one more thing. So if you see here the tables which you have created inside the database. So we are in the respective database which is school 1. So inside the database we have created the table learner, right? And I have told you how much ever tables you want, you can create inside that respective database. So to show the tables, the number of tables which we have created, we have to use the query show tables. And when you give show tables, see what is going to happen. it will display the number of tables which you have created. So far we have created only one table, right? So the learner table alone will get displayed. And to insert the values inside the table, we have to use the query insert into table name, because only by creating the table and keeping as such there is no use at all. We have to insert some values into the table, right? So to insert some values inside the table, what do we have to do here is we have to use this query insert into. So to use the query insert into, see here, this is the syntax which you have to follow. Insert into followed by values, because you're going to provide the values, and value 1, value 2, value n. So how much of values you can you wish to give, you can provide, but it should it depends on the number of fields which you have created. Here I have created only 2 fields. So for that 2 fields I have to give only 2 values. So let me show you how to insert the values into it. So to insert the values, insert into the respective table name and followed by the values keyword, and inside that you have to provide the values according to the field name which you have created. Field name, which is nothing but the column name. So now to provide this field name, see here, insert into table name is learner, and followed by that you have to use the keyword values. Inside that I have already given the values 14 and 15. So now I'm going to give the value as 16. 16 followed by, let me give the name as Rajesh. So I have enclosed within quotes. And always you have to remember that when you give the character oriented data type, you have to always enclose within the quotes. Yes. Now if you press enter, here the query has been accepted, which means the value has been inserted into the table. To view whether the values has been inserted into the table, you have to use the query. To view the contents of the table, select asterisk from learner. So this particular query we have to use. Actually, the select asterisk from table name. This is a query which we have to use to view the contents of the table. So asterisk, this particular symbol actually extracts the entire contents of the data. Yes, so select asterisk from the respective table name I have to provide, and it will display the contents of the table. Yes, I have already inserted the value 14 and 15, and followed by that now I have inserted the value, third value, that is the third row, 16 followed by the name Rajesh. So 3 set of values I have inserted using the insert into statement. So in the same manner you have to insert the values by using the insert into query. Even if you wanted to insert some 10 to 15 values also, you have to repeat the statement insert into. So if I wanted to insert the fourth set of row, instead of typing, you can make use of the up arrow key to go to the previous queries. Yes, now I have used such a shortcut key to go to the previous query, and here I can change the values. So by modifying the values, I can directly insert values into it. So now I have modified the values and just press enter. Now I have inserted the fourth row as well. To view the contents of the table again, whether 4 rows has been inserted, 4th row has been inserted or not, use the same query, select asterisk from learner and press enter. Yes, now we have inserted 4 different sets of rows inside the table learner. Yes, and now let us see the other stuffs like, okay, this is one such query to find out in which particular database you are working at present, because inside a database you can create as many tables as you want, as I have told. So when we are working with multiple tables, sometimes we may end up with confusion whether in which particular database we are working. Like how do we have many different folders inside all the drives in our computer? Similarly, we can create as many databases as we want, and we can create as many tables as we want inside each and every database. So to find out in what database we are working, we have to use the query select database parenthesis, right? So when you give the statement, it will display the name of the database. So this particular query you can use to find out the name of the database, and some of the terminologies, which is keyword and clause. So keyword means which is a special word we have that holds a special meaning in SQL. Right, so all the words which we use like select, insert into, or create a table or create database, everything which you use is nothing but the keyword. Everything comes inbuilt, right? So that represents a keyword which gives a special meaning to the SQL statement, whereas when it comes to a clause, it is a portion of the SQL statement. So portion of the SQL statement means, just have a look at this example, select name from learner. If I have given select name from learner, which means I need the name column alone. As I have told you, when you give asterisk in the place of name, it will retrieve the entire contents from the table, like this particular thing. Yes, they have given asterisk over here, it will retrieve entire contents from the table, whereas if you have given the name column, it will retrieve only this particular name column alone and it will display as the output. You understood now? So select name from learner. From means that is also a keyword, but you have given the table name over here, learner. So from this learner table, I wanted to retrieve the name column. Yes, so select as a statement which helps to retrieve the entire contents. And whichever columns you need, you can specify that particular columns. So clause means a portion of a SQL statement. So select as a keyword and select along with the name, which is user defined name, and learner or user defined variables, right? So name is the column name which I have given. Select along with name is called as a clause. So now it is a portion of a SQL statement. Similarly, from along with learner is a clause. So now you understood the difference between keyword and clause. And let us discuss about the next thing. So the same they have explained over here. Now we will discuss about data types. So why do we work with data types? So why do we need the data type? Because the data which we are going to give for each and every column, like we are giving here for roll number, we are giving the numbers, and for name, we are giving the names, right? And according to the names of the columns, we are providing the values. So to segregate which value belongs to which particular category, that represents a data type. So 14, 12, 16, if I'm going to give numbers like this, which means it belongs to the number category. So which comes under the integer data type. That is the number without the fractional part. So if I make use of any numbers with fractional parts like 14.0, 15.0, like that, it comes under the decimal data type. Yes, and similarly for name, we have used the varchar data type. Do you remember? So varchar represents the string length variable. You can provide as many strings as you want by as many characters as you want by specifying the size for the data type name. Yes, and let us see about the data types. So see here, we have 4 different data types here. One is text, numeric, then we have date and timer. So when it comes to text data type, in text you have 2 categories. One is char and the other one is varchar. So char means the fixed length string. When you come across the fixed length string, you have to use the char data type. So char along with size. This is the format which you have to use for character data type. And if you specify the size over here, for example, if I'm specifying char of 5, yes, when I specify the data type as char of size, it will take 5 spaces. Yes, and if I give the word less than 5, it will take up that 1 extra space as well. It will not leave as such. Yes, that's why we make use of the char data type. So when you know exactly how many number of words you're going to give, you can go with the char data type. But when you're unknown about the number of, when you're not known, or when you're unsure about the size of the characters which you're going to give, you can go with varchar. Yes, as it is a variable length string and it can range from 1 to 255 characters in length. So even if I'm going to give the varchar as varchar size as 25, and if I give less than that, it will not take up the extra spaces. That is the only difference between char and varchar. So this varchar will not take up the extra spaces, and you can, and it will even if you give the characters less than 25, it will take up the spaces only till that. You got it now? Then numeric data type. So numeric data type, here also you have 2 categories. One is decimal and the other one is integer. So when it comes to integer data type, you can specify it in short like int or integer in full form when you're using along with the column names. So when you give integer data type, it is not necessary to specify the size for integer data type, because by default it will take up the width up to 11 digits. By default it will accept the 11 digits. But when it exceeds more than 11 digits, in that case you can specify the size for integer data type. When it comes to decimal, so integer means like 14, 15, 16, like the numbers without the fractional parts which I have told you know, that represents the integer data type. When it comes to decimal, so decimal represents a number with the fractional part. So 17.32, like that. When you come across this kind of number, you have to go with the decimal data type. So here you can specify the size as well as the decimal part. So size represents the integer part, like in the integer part how many number of digits you wanted to specify, that you can specify over here, and how many number of digits you wanted to specify you wanted to display after the decimal point, that you can specify in the D parameter. Yes, when we look at the examples you will understand much better. So date and time. So date and time, if you consider date data type, here you have to follow up a specific format like day, month and year. So based on this format you have to represent it when you give values inside the date column. And similarly when it comes to time data type, you have to follow up the format as minutes and seconds. Clear? And as I have already told you, apart from numbers, all the characters, date and time should be enclosed within quotes. Yes, to separate, to segregate from the numbers and the characters. And now we will be discussing about categories of SQL commands. So we have discussed regarding how to create a table and how to create a database. The very first thing, you have to create a database, which is like a folder. And inside the folder, you have to create a table. Right? And after creating the table, we have to insert the values inside the table. And after inserting the values, what we will do, if we want to refer the values for future reference, what we will do, we will open the respective file, right? Similarly, to view the contents of the table, we will be using the respective queries like select asterisk from the table name or select the particular name from the table name. All these things we'll be working with. So now you are going to learn about two different commands in class 11 like DDL and DML. So DDL means the data definition language, so which helps you to define or else which helps you to create a database, or if you wanted to alter the structure of the table or if you want to delete the table, all these things you can do with the help of this DDL commands. Yes, you can create it and you can delete it, or if needed you can modify it. So all these three things are possible. So remember, DDL commands means create, alter and drop. So in DDL you have only these three commands: create, alter and drop. Got it? So in create you have create database as well creating the table. Both things are possible. When it comes to alter, it helps you to modify the table. Yes, modifying the table in the sense when you have created the table, after creating the table you can modify the structure of it. So that represents modifying. And when it comes to drop, you can delete the table itself but not the database. Yes, you can delete, for example, if you have created some 10 tables inside database, and if you wanted to delete some 2 tables from that, you can delete it using this drop query. And here you have DML commands. DML represents data manipulation language. So data manipulation language, in this you have select, update, delete and insert into queries. So a select statement regarding this I have already taught you. It helps you to extract the data from the table. And update, if you wanted to modify the contents within the table, yes, inside the table, if you wanted to change any contents, you can go with the update statement. So this is the difference between alter and update. In the alter table statement, the outside structure, like I'll show you. So this particular structure, like if you wanted to change the name of the column or if you wanted to change the data type of the column, all these things you can do with the help of this alter table statement. Whereas if you wanted to change the contents of the table, like if instead of Aruna, if I wanted to add it as Satish, I can change it here with the help of this update statement. Now you understood the difference. And delete, it helps you to delete the contents of the table. Yes. In the previous DDL query, here you have the drop table command which helps you to delete the table itself. If this is the table, this entire table itself can be deleted by using the drop table query. Whereas this delete statement, this helps you to delete the contents which is inside the table. Yes, now you're clear with this. And here insert into, as you know already how to insert the values inside the table, we make use of this insert into table query. And again they are repeating the same thing, like how to create the table. So to create the table, already I have taught you, we will be using the create table statement. Yes, so create table followed by table name, column name, data type, and you can specify the size as well. So let us discuss few more examples based on this. So have a look at this now. So here they have created the table student. Yes, create table student, that is this table name. I'll just show you an example based on this. Create table. One more table I'm creating here inside the database school1. Yes, create table student, and inside the student table I'm going to give the values. Yes, to give the values we will be providing roll number integer and followed by name, varchar of 25 I'm going to give, and followed by this, here we are going to provide the gender. So I'll end up with for gender it is char1. I'm going to provide as it is only male or female. Yes, and for marks I'm going to provide decimal. So for decimal 4,1 I'm going to provide, and overall brackets you have to close and give a semicolon. Student, and followed by we will be using, I'll repeat again and show you, $25. Yes, and after providing this, okay, till this I'll stop here and I'll show you. Okay, now the query has been accepted, and here we are going to see the structure of the table. Okay, so look at the structure of the table. So here we have created with two queries. Yes, DESC table name I have given a student, now roll number, name, and here I have provided int varchar of 25. Yes, it will display the structure of the table, and followed by this, here they have given name varchar of 25, gender of char1, marks 1 of decimal 4,1. So when you give such query, followed by that, what will happen here is, see, when you view the structure of the table, the field which you have given here is roll number. For roll number it is integer, for name it is varchar of 25. So roll number, integer, name, varchar of 25, and for gender it is character of 1, and for marks it is decimal of 4,1. So marks 1, decimal of 4,1, which I have provided over here. Yes, and followed by that, the table structure has been displayed, and here to insert the values for each and every column which we have created, again we have to use the insert into query. So this insert into query helps you to insert the values for the column names which you have created. Totally we have created 4 columns, and for these 4 columns we have to insert the values again. To insert the values, see here, insert into student, values of, according to the column names which we have created, we have to provide the values, roll number, name, gender, and marks 1. So roll number, name, gender, and marks 1. For gender we have given the character size as 1, as we are going to use only one character, male or female. Yes, M or F. So for that only I have given the character as 1. As I have told you, character is a fixed length variable, right? And varchar is the string length variable. So followed by that 93, and all the characters should be enclosed within quotes. So similarly, how many 7 values they have inserted using the insert into statement. And after inserting the values, you can view the contents of the table by using the query select asterisk from table name. Yes, so select asterisk from learner, as I have already taught you. Select asterisk from learner. If I give this, it will display the contents of the table. Similarly, if I give select, as I have not given any values for the table student here, it will not display any values. Yes, and So here they have given all the values and to change the structure of the table. So changing the structure of the table means I have told you this particular structure, like if you wanted to change the roll number column or if you wanted to add any columns below this marks 1 column. So anything which you wanted to apply changes, you can do it with the help of this alter table statement. So by using this alter table query, see here, three things are possible: add, drop and modify. So these three things you will be using along with this alter table statement. So you can add a column or you can drop a column, that is you can delete a column, or you can even modify a column, that is you can modify its data type, or you can even modify the column names even. So these things are possible with the help of this alter table statement. So have a look at this now. Alter table student add games varchar of 20 they have given, right? So what are they doing here? They have given alter table student. So in the student table we are going to make some modifications. So alter table in this student, what are they going to do? They are going to add a column games. So when you add this column game, I have to provide the data type as well. So when you provide this data type, what will happen? So it will be added inside the table student, because inside the student table only I'm going to add a column game. So games varchar of 20 I have provided. By default the values will be set to null in case if you have not given any values. But for the student table already we have given values for roll number, name, gender and marks in the previous query. So what will happen here is, for this games column all the 7 rows will be displayed as null by default, because we have not given any value so far and just now we have created this column additionally, right? So what will happen here, see, and when you display the contents of the table by using the select asterisk from student table command, see what is happening here. For all the other columns we have inserted the values, but for games column alone it will be displayed as null because we have not given any values so far for the games column. Yes, so by default it will be automatically displayed as null. And here if you wanted to modify the data type of the games column, here what data type we have given for games, varchar of 20. But if I wanted to change it into integer or some other data type, I can do it with the help of this alter table command. Because in alter table I have told you 3 different things are possible: add, drop and modify, right? So now we have added a column. Now if I wanted to modify the column, what I have to do here is I have to use this modify command along with this alter table statement. So alter table, that is a table name student, modify followed by which column name you wanted to modify, games column, that I have to provide, and followed by that I have to provide the data type, because previously it was an varchar data type, but now I wanted to change it into integer data type. So to change it into integer data type I have to provide here as integer. So modify games as integer. And if you do this, so what will happen here is it will automatically be changed to integer data type. And after getting changed, instead of varchar it will accept only the integer values, right? Now as no longer we know if you do not need this games column, you can delete it with the help of the drop command. We have discussed about add, also we have discussed about modify, and now we are going to discuss about the drop column, the drop command. So when you give alter table student drop the games column, what will happen here is the games column will be removed from here. Yes, to view whether the games column has been removed or not, when you use this query DESC student, DESC means describe, or in short form you can use DESC. So describe student command, when you use it will display without the games column. You understood? This is how you have to add the column, or if needed you can modify it, or if needed you can delete the column name if not needed. Yes, and okay. So already I have told you how to retrieve the content from the table. So once we have created the contents, once we have inserted all the values in the table, you can retrieve it as a whole by using the select asterisk command, or you can retrieve the specific columns by using the names of the columns I have told you, right? So if I wanted to retrieve the specific column, or if I wanted to retrieve the entire column, let me will show you some examples. See here. retrieving information with the select statement. So to retrieve a single column, you will be using the query select column name from table name. So one such example, select roll number from student table. So only this roll number column will be retrieved. So we have seen this table here, no? 1 to 7, only this roll number column alone will be retrieved and it gets displayed over here. Got it? Similarly, if you want to retrieve multiple columns, so how will you retrieve the multiple columns? You can retrieve it by specifying the multiple column names. Here totally you have 4 column names, roll number, name, gender and marks. But if you wanted to retrieve multiple columns, that is out of 3 or 4, if I wanted to retrieve 2 columns, you can specify the respective column names, roll number and name. So in whichever order you're providing, in that order only, the output gets displayed. Here I have provided roll number and name from students. So roll number and name alone gets displayed. If I have provided as name and roll number, first it will display the name column and then followed by that roll number column. You understood? And here to change the order of display, that is what I have told you, know, how much ever you are specifying, in which order you are specifying, in that order only it gets displayed. So name followed by roll number if I have provided. First the name column gets displayed and then the roll number column gets displayed. So this is how it works. So this is how you will be retrieving. You can retrieve a single column or you can retrieve a multiple column or you can even retrieve the entire column from the table by using the select statement. Yes, see here, to retrieve all the columns. So far we have seen how to retrieve a single column or how to retrieve multiple columns. Yes, and now they have shown how to retrieve all the columns. To retrieve all the columns, see here what they have done, select asterisk from student. So if you give select asterisk from student, it will automatically display all the column, all the contents of the table. And for this marks column, I have told you we have used the decimal data type, right? So this decimal data type, we have specified the decimal of 4,1. So 4,1, the overall size of the numbers which you have in the table is 4 and followed by the decimal point, how many numbers you wanted to display, that you have to specify over here. So 4,1, if you see here, 4 along with the decimal point, it will count 1, 2, 3, 4, that is 9, 3, dot and 0. Overall it will take 4 spaces, that is the size, and after the decimal point it will I wanted to display only 1 digit, so that's why only 1 digit has been displayed. Now you understood, by default 0 gets displayed. And if you have provided the value with the decimal point like 93.45 or 93.57, what will happen, that particular number gets displayed. And in that, if you have restricted to 1 decimal point, only 93.5 gets displayed. So now you understood the concept. Okay.
So I hope you understood the session and we'll meet in the next class. Thank you.